Okay, let us get started. So we're going to begin with the Mangala Charana. It's in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita introduction. So if you'd open up to the intro. Oh, fine. Ready? Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militan Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Siddhivita Patitanam Pavanivyo Vaishnavivyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai. So, welcome everyone to today's class. We're going to do we have a memorization verse for this week. It's 1426. So open up to 1426. We'll recite that a couple of times. It's a very nice verse. Mine's also different. 1426. You got to look at the top of the page. Ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it together. Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Let's do it again. Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. All right, and there's a little song that goes with the translation to make it fun and easy to remember. So, one who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Okay, very good. Now we are going to where we left off in chapter 16, the divine and demoniac natures. And oh yeah, we left off at the 3 gates to hell. So this chapter is it's yeah. We've been hearing all about basically people with demoniac natures and their qualities and thought processes, their view of the world and their attitude towards Krishna. And yeah, and we talked about what happens to them after death, which is not very pleasant. And so now Krishna is going to explain in a general sense, what is it that makes people kind of go down instead of go up at the end of this lifetime? So text 21. Trividham narakasyedam dwaram nashanam atmanaha kama krodas tatalobas tasmad etatrayam tyajet. Do you want to read, Aruna?
There are three gates leading to this hell: lust, anger, and greed. Every sane man should give this up, for they lead to the degradation of the soul. The beginning of demoniac life is described here. One tries to satisfy his lust. When he cannot, anger and greed arises. A sane man who does not want to glide down to the species of demoniac life must try to keep up these three enemies, which can kill the self to such an extent that there will be no possibility of liberation.
Yeah, so it sounds pretty heavy, but what Krishna is doing here is he's actually being very merciful and warning us, right? He's like telling us that, okay, there are these like hellish options that you could go to, right? Either going to a hellish planet as described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, or, or any kind of lower planet, or taking birth in a hellish situation, right? There are some people that really live in hellish situations, even in human forms on this earth. They have really like kind of nightmare-esque lives. And then there are different animal species that are really hellish, that are just really full of fear and just very just dirty and fearful and horrible, like if you're a cockroach or something, or a worm that lives in the gutter, or in the drains, or something like a maggot that like starts off his life in a pile of like in a rotting corpse or something. It's like a really hellish situation for the soul who's meant to be in the spiritual world with Krishna, eternity, knowledge, and bliss, and so many wonderful pastimes and a very beautiful environment. And then how did you get into a rotting corpse or in a pile of, dog stool or something like that? So yeah, there are different, lots of varieties of hellish existences that we could end up in if we're not careful. So that what Krishna is doing is he's telling us, be careful, because you don't want to go there. And so I want to tell you about how people do go there so that you can avoid those things. So the first thing is lust. Yeah, so he says that, yeah, there are gates to hell. There are three gates. And the first one is lust. So lust is kama. Yeah, it means material desire. When people are so like overwhelmed by intense desires for material things, especially when they're willing to like do anything, like hurt, kill, cheat, lie, scheme, finagle, whatever, to get their material desires fulfilled, then it results in a lot of really bad consequences. So the best thing is to realize that we're spirit souls, and that as souls, we don't really have anything to do with this material world. And so don't worry too much about material desires, because they're not going to make us happy anyway, because we're not material, right? How can a spiritual being be happy with material things? Can't. Or if we do have material desires and we're really like, so attached to the fulfillment of those desires that it's hard to do anything else. We can't get them out of our minds. But at least approach Krishna. Just be like, Krishna, you know what? I have this material desire and I really want it. Like I really want this thing or this situation or this relationship. Please help. And then just try to please Krishna and hope that, he will fulfill your desire, or they might purify it too. But just like try to keep everything clean, right? It's like, okay, I want something that I shouldn't really want maybe as a soul, but it's there and it's not going away anytime soon. So I'm just going to reveal my heart and mind to Krishna and ask him for help. And if he so desires, then he'll find a way that I can get this desire satisfied and not go to hell. Right. So as long as we approach Krishna, basically we're safe. It's when we think, oh, God is a problem because he doesn't want me to this, that, or the other thing. So I just want to deny his existence and do whatever I damn please. That's when we get into trouble. So yeah, lust. And then anger is similar. So all of these things push us, right? Lust, it like pushes us to do things. There's that famous verse in chapter 3 where Arjuna asks Krishna, what is this force what is it that makes people do things that they don't even want to do? As if they're like unwilling, like as if they're dragged into it by force. And Krishna answers, it's lust, right? The lust just like pushes people to get them to do things, to chase things.
good expectation. Somebody expects like a lot from you and you don't do it that day, it's like they get angry. Is that like a form of lust?
I mean, anger comes from like unfulfilled lust, right? So that if somebody has an expectation, that means they basically want you to do something, right? So that's a desire, material desire. They want you to do something for them, materially speaking. And then if you don't do it, then they get angry because then their lust is not satisfied, or they get frustrated. Like, what's wrong with you? You didn't do what I wanted you to do.
Spirit.
Yeah, you need to sit down and talk about it and be like, you know what, this is why I didn't do it. There's actually a good reason for it, and like that. Yeah, so the next thing after lust is anger also pushes us, right? When you're really angry, you get like your anger pushes you to, hit someone or yell at someone or put your fist through the window or throw something across the room or just put your head under your pillow and scream, or go online and write some really horrible comment about the person to try to, stick a knife in them somehow or other. Or maybe you'll just like wish bad thoughts in their direction. So all these different ways in which when we're angry at someone, it pushes us to do something which is usually regrettable, right? So, and it leads us, yeah, if anger leads us to, offend someone, hurt someone, kill someone, then of course there are going to be bad karmic consequences for that. And then the last, oh, someone's asking, which book and verse? We're in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16, text 21. And then the next thing is greed, the third gate to hell. So greed is another thing that pushes that, well, I need more, 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 never satisfied. I need to work harder, earn more money, and then, or just get more material things. I need to keep up with the Joneses, be better than the Joneses, and it's never enough. And then greed pushes us to do things that are also, like if by honest means we can't get more, then we'll cheat or steal or something, right?
What do you think of like robbing and then he steals from the rich and it's
Robbing the
like,
rich to feed the poor.
yeah, is that like good?
Well, it's kind of, I mean, would be better if Robin Hood like earned an honest living and then gave that to the poor. Because otherwise he's just like kind of playing God, in the sense of like interfering with people's karma. Right? Like there's a reason why rich people are rich, it's because they have good karma, and there's a reason that why poor people are poor. So it's better to like talk to the rich and convince them to be charitable, because by being charitable, then they get pious credits and they get good karma and they'll get even richer. And it's good to preach to the poor people to worship the Lord, because then they'll do devotional service, because then they'll get good credit and then they'll be elevated in their material and spiritual life. So yeah, you don't have to like, rob the rich. So it's nice that he wanted to, help the poor, but he was kind of doing it in a wrong way. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Krishna is saying every sane man should give these up. So if we're sane, that's what it means to be sane. Actually, a sane person, when they feel the pushings of lust, right? Tongue, belly, genitals, when they feel the pushings of lust, then they give it up. They don't indulge it. They ignore it. They recognize it and they're like, okay, some lust is arising, but I don't want this. I don't want to react to it. I just want to like disconnect myself from it. So yeah, a sane person is able to recognize these things, understand where they're leading, not a good place, right? The gates to hell, and detach himself from them. Be like, this is not me. I'm a soul. I don't have material desires. Soul doesn't have material desires. The soul doesn't get angry because they're frustrated because someone didn't do what they want or whatever situation. Soul doesn't have greed for material things. So, soul is by nature self-satisfied. So then the more we identify as souls and not as bodies, then the more we can very easily just like give these things up, not be influenced by them. As long as we have a body, they're going to be there like to some degree. But knowing who we really are, we can be like, all right, my body's feeling some lust right now. My senses are getting agitated. My mind's getting disturbed by anger or something. But I'm not this body. I'm not this mind. And I don't have to respond to this. I can just, like let it pass. It's just like I always use the example of mosquito bite. It's like you get bit by a mosquito and it itches like anything, right? So you know that it's itching, but you recognize that, okay, there's an itch there and I want to scratch it. But you can also decide not to, right? And then if you just don't scratch the mosquito bite for like half an hour, like after half an hour, it stops itching and it's just done. And it doesn't leave any mark, no bump, nothing. It just totally goes away as if it never happened. But if you get the mosquito bite and you start scratching it, then what happens? It itches even more, and the more you scratch it, the more it itches, and the more you scratch it, the more it itches, and even you scratch it and you like rip your skin off and you got like blood streaming down your leg, and it still doesn't stop itching. Yeah, that's how bad it is. So lust is like that, right? That's what Krishna said in chapter 3. It's never satisfied and it burns like fire. So just don't get involved with it. Okay.
How does one not get involved in it?
With what, lust?
Yeah.
Like that, like I was saying, you recognize it and you just tell yourself, use your intelligence to tell yourself that you're not the body and this thing doesn't have anything to do with you. And you just, regret your lamentable situation that you got a material body that has these issues. And then try to make it your last material body, right? Just don't act in such a way that you have to get another material body and go through lust and anger and greed again. Oh, I'm sorry. It's nothing. Yeah, yeah. To commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting the holy names,
Yeah.
right?
Krishna. Like, are you still like have the chance stuff?
Well, it's different. See, like one thing, the offensive part comes when you're thinking, I have this desire and have every intention to fulfill it, whether it's, good for me or not, whether it's, done in the right way or not. I'm just gonna do it. So what the heck? And but then you're like, but it doesn't matter that I do this sinful activity because I'll just chant afterwards and it'll get all neutralized. Like my bad karma will get neutralized by the chanting. So then you're basically just using the Maha Mantra, the Hare Krishna, the holy names, which is non-different from Krishna, as like, kind of like a doormat to wipe your muddy feet on, right? Yeah, so it's like it's offensive, right? You see how you're just using the holy name to exonerate yourself from some, sinful activity. That's the offensive way. The non-offensive way is that you realize that you have a weakness, right? You have this material attachment to our weakness. So I have this weakness, I'm really attached to this kind of sense gratification. And as much as I try, I just can't not do it. Like I'm gonna do it. I know myself that I'm gonna do it. And Krishna, I'm really sorry. And please help me. And anyways, you chant your rounds and you're praying for purification, you're praying to get free from the desire, you're praying for forgiveness, you're, trying to clean your heart. But you're not thinking that you're not thinking ahead of time that it doesn't matter that I did this bad thing because I'll just chant.
So it's like
Yeah, it's about how you're using the holy name, whether you're using it to just kind of like, make your bad deeds good, or whether you're really calling out to Krishna for helps to stop doing those things, to make arrangements in your life where you can live a pure life, and you're just recognizing a weakness and asking Krishna to help you with it. Right. So in one case, the first person has no intention of changing their ways. The second person really wants to change their ways and is taking shelter of Krishna for that. Okay, Lavanga. It's online.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Along with what you were discussing concerning offenses to chanting of the holy name, just to give a story, a really inspiring story that somebody had told me about how they had attachments to certain stuff, but so Krishna helped them. And this devotee was telling me that they were really into Krishna consciousness, but they were also kind of hippie and kind of into, smoking weed, taking psychedelics, stuff like that. So they
Uh-huh.
had given up everything, but the devotee couldn't give up smoking. And
Mhm.
he's already chanting 60 years.
Mhm.
So
Can you hear?
he, so every day he would say, Krishna, I'm not chanting to remove, my sinful reactions. I know I have these bad habits, but I'm just chanting because I like to chant your holy name, and I have some attraction to you.
Mhm.
So, I'm kind of sorry that I'm attached to these things. And he did that. He just went on in that way with that mood, and after some time, Krishna took away that desire
Mhm.
for doing that activity.
Nice. Yeah, because he wasn't offending Krishna. He actually had attraction for Krishna, but he still had some attraction for other things, and Krishna just helped him work through it. Yeah, that's what Krishna does, as long as we don't offend him, right? Okay, good. Thank you for sharing that, Lavanga. So yeah, that's what it means to be sane, is to try to give these things up. Okay. Yeah, and also when we actually really do take shelter of Krishna, then he helps us. Like just was asking how to give these things up. Take shelter of Krishna, and he can purify us of the desire. He can remove these things. All the processes of bhakti are very potent. Okay, text 22. Etar vimukta konteya tamodvara stribir naraha acharatyatmana shreyas tato yati param gatim. Do you want to read there, Diego?
The manifest state performs acts of
Conducive.
conducive, performs conducive to self-realization, thus gradually attain the supreme destination. The point
Purport as well, yeah, please.
which of the and lust, anger. The more a person is free from lust, anger, and greed, the more existence becomes pure. Then he can follow the rules and regulations, enjoying the Vedic literature. By following the regulated principles of human life, one gradually rises himself to the platform of spiritual realization. If one is so fortunate by such practice to rise to the platform of Krishna consciousness, then success is inevitable. In the Vedic literature, the ways of action and reaction are prescribed, and even one to come to the stage of purification. The whole method is based on giving of love, creating. By cultivating knowledge of this process, one can be elevated to the highest position of self-realization. This self-realization is perfected in devotional service, and that devotional service, the liberation of the conditioned soul is guaranteed. Therefore, according to the Vedic system, there are instituted the four orders of life and the four statuses of life called the caste system and the spiritual order system. There are different rules and regulations for different castes or divisions of society. If a person is able to follow, he will be automatically raised to the highest platform of spiritual realization. Then he can have a little liberation without it.
Yeah, so yeah, the Vedic system is really very accommodating. It's not that, oh, I have lust, I get angry sometimes, I don't know what to do with myself. I can't be a devotee, I'm too many material desires, I need to just go away and do my thing. It's not like that. The Vedic system is very, very accommodating. So Prabhupada refers to here to four, the Varnashram system, basically four Varnas, four ashrams. So if somebody's like in the ashram and they're, being a celibate student and doing full-time service and living a simple life, and then like material desire becomes strong, right? They want to have their independent situation, they want to have the comforts of home, they want to have their freedom to do what they want to do, they want to be able to wake up in the morning whatever time they want and have someone tell you that you got to be at this place at this time. And right? Of course, people out there also have to do that. Or, just sex desire is too strong. So then Vedic system is like, okay, then, get married. Grihastha ashram is for that. You can have your situation, you get your spouse, sex is allowed, you have your kids, take the kids on vacation, go on a camping trip, whatever, like you can do your stuff, but you can also do that in Krishna consciousness. And gradually you get purified of the desire by working through it, right? So Grihastha ashram is, so, and then the varnas, so whatever, career suits our nature, so do that career and you can earn money and you can have things, but you're also purifying yourself by being a responsible human, basically, and trying to connect that to Krishna, trying to do that for Krishna. Yeah. Believe in what? Untouchables.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's 4 varnas and there's 4 ashrams, you could say. I mean, basically, yeah, I mean, in Krishna consciousness, we don't talk about untouchables or that kind of thing. I mean, there's just people who are following varnashram and people who are not following varnashram. People are following scriptural rules and regulations and people who aren't. And so, yeah, but ultimately everybody's a soul and all souls are equal and all souls have also equal opportunity to connect with God, to perform some process of worship and to elevate themselves. So that's kind of like what we look at, right? Less than, because the thing is like the whole untouchable, this or that, the caste system is based on birth. So in Krishna consciousness, we reject the caste system. I mean, the concept of untouchables is part of the caste system, right? So varnashram, it kind of looks like the caste system, but there's different, there's like there's basically Daivi varnashram, which is spiritual varnashram, where everyone's doing their ashram duties and occupational duties for the pleasure of the Lord, for the gradual purification and getting closer to Krishna. And then there's Asuric Varnashram, which is that, you're born into a certain family, which is a certain caste, and you're stuck in that for the rest of your life, and you can't, change your position, and then people will just like put you down and label you and pigeonhole you based on your birth, even though your qualities are totally different. So that's Asuric, which means demonic. That's like demonic Varnashram.
So the spiritual one can go from X to
Yeah, there's like total mobility options, right? Yeah, because ultimately the Varna that you're in, it's because of the modes of nature that you're influenced by. So if someone, there's many examples in the scriptures also that someone's born in a Kshatriya family, they were born in a family of kings or administrators, but they have Brahminical qualities, right? They like to study and teach, or they're very like priestly and saintly and peaceful and honest and simple, that kind of person. Then it's like they're a Brahmin, and then they'll be accepted by Vedic society as a Brahmin, even though they're born in a Kshatriya family. There's several examples of that in Srimad Bhagavatam.
Because they won't let it. It's like you gotta like learn everything you they're like so.
Yeah, so unfortunately, it's still a little bit like that in India. Yeah, yeah, it's bad. Yeah, like everything. Are there certain things that some castes, like for example, if you have a restaurant in India, then you have to like you can get someone who's a Brahmin to cook, right? So they'll cook and they'll cook, like that, and they'll and then you have to get another people to serve, like, and then but even those who serve, they won't touch the dirty dishes. So you can get someone like you'll get like the Vaishya to like take the money and, work at the cash register like that. And then you'll get a Kshatriya, someone to be maybe like the security guard or the manager. You get a Brahmin to do the cooking. Maybe the Brahmin will also bring the food, but none of those castes will touch the dirty dishes or wash them. You have to get a Shudra for that. So then what happens is you have to hire so many people because the Brahmin will cook, but he won't wash the dishes, nor will he touch the money. And if they're very strict. So then it becomes like super expensive because you have to hire so many people because so many different jobs need to be done. Whereas in the West, you get 2 people and they just do everything. If you got like a small cafe or something. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, the point of the point of the Varnashram system is for everyone to be engaged nicely according to their nature, their psychophysical nature, and everyone to be in the ashram, which suits their developmental stage, and to do that for the satisfaction of Krishna, so for gradual purification. Right? Because human life is meant for purification. It's meant for elevating ourselves. So Prabhupada says that Varnashram is like stepping stones to spiritual understanding. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so that's what Krishna is saying. The person who has escaped these 3 gates of hell, what do? They perform acts conducive to self-realization and gradually attain the supreme destination. So that's what we want to do. We need to be sane people. We need to escape the gates of hell and perform acts that are conducive to our self-realization. So that's a good way to kind of like, it's a good compass to navigate our lives by, that whenever we have some opportunities, opportunities come up, there's choices to make. What am I going to do? What am I not going to do? So we can ask ourselves, is this conducive to my self-realization? And if the answer is yes, then do it. If the answer is no, then don't do it. Right? That's like good human life, responsible human life, because the whole purpose of human life is self-realization. That's the opportunity that we get in this life that no other species gets. So we have to really take it. Okay, all right. Oh, now Krishna's going to speak a little more on this. Text 23. Yashastra vidhim utsrijya vartate kamakarataha nasasidhim avapnoti nasukam na param gatim. Divya?
He who discards spiritual injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection, nor happiness, nor the supreme destination. As described before, the Shastra Vidhi, or the direction of the Shastra, is given to the different castes and orders of human society. Everyone is expected to follow these rules and regulations. If one does not follow them and acts in any such way according to his lust, greed, and desire, then he never will be perfect in his life. In other words, a man may theoretically know all these things, but if he does not apply them in his own life, then he is not to be known as the lowest of
Then he
men.
is to be.
Oh, sorry, he is to be as the lowest of men. In the human form of life, a living entity is expected to be sane and to follow the regulations given for elevating his life to the highest platform. But if he does not follow them, then he degrades himself. But even if he follows the rules and regulations and moral principles and ultimately does not come to the stage of understanding the Supreme Lord, then all his knowledge becomes spoiled. And even if he accepts the existence of God, if he does not engage himself in the service of the Lord, his platform of Krishna consciousness and devotional service,
You skipped a line, I think.
And even if he accepts the existence of God, if he does not engage himself in the service of the Lord, his attempts are spoiled. Therefore, one should gradually raise himself to the platform of Krishna consciousness and devotional service. It is then there that he can attain the highest perfectional stage, not otherwise. The word kamakarta is very significant. A person who knowingly violates the rules acts in lust. He knows that this is forbidden, but he still acts. This is called acting whimsically. He knows that this should be done, but still he does not do it. Therefore, he is called whimsical. Such persons are destined to be condemned by the Supreme Lord. Such persons cannot have the perfection which is meant for the human life. The human life is especially meant for purification, for purifying one's existence. And one who does not follow the rules and regulations cannot purify himself, nor can he attain the real stage of happiness.
Okay, yeah. So here, Krishna's talking about the Shastra Vidhim. So Shastra means the scriptures and Vidhi means the rules. So yeah, the scriptures are like a manual for how to live a good human life, how to live a pure life, elevate yourself, and basically be happy and improve yourself in this life, and at the end of this life go to a better place. Right? So the scriptures, they lay it out all very clearly. We can learn that from Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, what to do, what not to do, what to eat, right? We're going to hear more about that as we go ahead into chapter 17 and 18 about the different things and the different modes. So, what kind of food will purify you and nourish you and elevate you? What kind of work is good? What kind of, who to give charity to? What kind of austerities are helpful and which are destructive? Like that. So it's all outlined very clearly in the scriptures. And if we act according to the scriptures, then everything's going to work out nicely, right? We're going to be happy in this life, relatively speaking. We're going to make spiritual advancement, and Krishna's going to be happy. And we're going to, at the end of this life, go to a better place. But then Prabhupada says that he who discards the scriptural injunctions and acts according to whims achieves neither perfection nor happiness nor the supreme destination. So the reason that people reject the scriptures is because they think they know better, right? Like, I don't want anyone telling me what to do. I know myself better than God. Better than God knows me. I know what's right for me. I'm going to do my thing, follow my path, exercise my free will. So Krishna's like, okay, you can do that, but you're not going to achieve perfection nor happiness nor the supreme destination. So choice is yours. It's kind of like you get a new, some complicated device, and then it comes with the manual, and you're like, I don't need to read the manual. I'll just, figure it out. I'll just use it the way I want to use it, right? And then you end up getting like electrocuted or, breaking the thing or something like that. So, because you didn't read the safety procedures or whatever. So yeah, that's what it means to be a sane person. It's like, okay, we got this human body, we got this mind, we got this life, a situation. Now let's read the manual for how to use this body to actually get the maximum benefit out of it. Right? It's basically a machine. It's like a device that we have to use. And we can either use it to degrade ourselves or elevate ourselves. And to elevate ourselves, we need to follow the regulations of the scriptures, which are, they're not like too strict, right? There's different levels of practice. And then there's the different ashrams as well. So we just have to find what works for us and go ahead and do that, and just make sure everything is like, authorized by the scriptures, and then we're good. Okay, yeah, now he's continuing with the same point here, text 24. Oh, Arjuna, you had your hand up? I saw that. Go ahead.
Yes, so I have a bit of I don't know if it's a technical question, but on your previous verse, you mentioned how, we developed the discrimination to know what's favorable and unfavorable for our spiritual life. And on this topic of rules and regulations, I was just reflecting on a conversation that I had with a devotee friend. And, I was sharing a little bit of like how sometimes, I fall into maybe like indulging into coffee here and there, or perhaps, I go out and eat and then he happens to have onion and garlic, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And, he was just being a little apprehensive about it, which I totally get. But then like on a different conversation, he was mentioning like how he went to his class by Hari Parshad Prabhu. And, he was talking about how, like sex in Grihastha ashram is sort of like allowed. So he was saying like, oh, well, you don't incur sin by having sex because you're married. But, which Prabhupada kind of, said in some parts, but then scripturally speaking, it is clear that, you know, sex is for the sake of procreation.
Mhm.
So my question is sort of like, are there levels to this? Like, sort of like, I don't know, like disregarding some things, like is one sin heavier than the other or something like that?
Yeah, so Prabhupada says different things in different purports in the scriptures. So some places he says that sex is only for procreation, only for conceiving a child and raising that child in Krishna consciousness. And of course has to be between a married couple who have, you know, properly married. Yeah, and then other places he gives more of a broad thing that sex that illicit sex means any sex outside of marriage. So, yeah. So it's there. So the main thing that we have to really go with is that sex should be within marriage, right? That's the minimum. And then, you know, you can just be guided by your own conscience, basically, right? Like if you're married and you know, the sex desire is strong, and especially if it's like mutual between husband and wife, and you don't necessarily want to have a child, you know, it's up to you, right? And you know, but after some time, you'll start thinking, you know, if you're sincere devotees, then Krishna will help, right? And after a while, you'll start thinking, you know, like, what are we doing? Like, what is the point of this? But you'll start thinking that, you know, I think we could maybe kind of like not do this so much and try to, you know, be a little less self-indulgent, and we can show our love for each other in different ways and find happiness in different ways. And you know what I mean? So yeah, Krishna gradually brings about realization of what's necessary, what's important, what's helpful. And he does it in a way that's you know, it's nice. It's like, okay, you just grow, you know, you grow. It's kind of like, you know, when you're a kid and you want so many things, you know, you want to eat candy all day and you want to just like enjoy yourself in so many different ways. And then you kind of like grow up a little bit and it's like, no, I'm not going to eat candy every day. It's not good for me. You still like candy. It's not like you don't like it, but you kind of grew up and you're just like, no, that's not what adults do. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like that when you first get married or you're young and senses are strong. It's like you're just got married and that passion is there. But then you kind of grow up, you know, a little bit and you're just like, yeah, I mean, life is not for sense gratification. You know, it's like our relationship is not about just indulging in sense gratification together. Like you go beyond that. Your relationship it goes deeper. Divya.
I just wanted to add, that just made me think it's so important to kind of choose someone who's going to help you focus on like the goal of life, someone who's going to every single day remind you, every single day they're going to read with you, they're going to chant with you, they're going to remind you, you know, we're here in this temporary situation, just in this life, you know, it's my offering to Krishna to take care of you. I'm never going to separate, you know, I'm never going to try to enjoy you exclusively for myself.
Mhm.
I see you in relation to Krishna, you're Krishna's child and I'm your
Yeah.
servant. And the ultimate way I can show my love to you is to support you in going back to Godhead. There's nothing more than that I can do that's going to show you that I love you because I'm committed to your success.
Yeah.
In this life and beyond. So I want to help set you up for that. And if that means, you know, like obviously falsely renouncing like sex desire is not the answer. But as long as you realize, okay, this is like a temporary phase in our relationship where as long as you keep reminding each other that, you know, this will hopefully fade away and we're going to help each other overcome it.
Also, that sexual energy can be it can be channeled in different directions, right? Because basically what it is, it's a creative energy, right? So you can channel it into other forms of creativity. And that's why raising children is very purifying. Like if you have a couple children, then it's like, you know, if you've used that, you've like created the children, you know, and now it's like you're investing in raising the children. Like those children become your project. You have a joint project, which is raising the child. Or you can do something else creative, like start a business together, right? You start your own business, husband and wife are working at the business together. And it's like, it's a productive channeling of sexual energy. of the creative energy, that you're raising children, you're starting a business, or maybe like you do a Krishna conscious project together, you start a new temple, or something like that. You start some initiative in the devotee community, devotee care initiative, or something, a food truck or whatever, like that creativity, and you're doing it together. So it's it yeah, it just channels the sexual energy in a way that it actually gets used nicely and not like just wasted in sense gratification. And you get happiness from working together in Krishna consciousness to do some new wonderful thing. Lavanga?
Yeah, I remember before I got married, I ran into this very like uh spiritual lady in Tucson. She came into the Govinda's restaurant, and we were striking up a conversation, and she had been married for like 60 years, and I said to her, I'm about to get married, do you have any advice for me? And one of the things she said was, it's normal over time that your needs will change, and keep that in mind. And she said, basically, in the beginning of marriage, and she just said this straight up to be blunt, like we barely knew each other. She said, there's this sex desire, and then it's all the time. And then as you get older, that starts to gradually go away. And people think that there's a problem. That's why there's all these magazines, like increase your love life or whatever. But she said, these things are just natural. Like as you get older, you don't, you, needs change and things are different. And I thought about that in terms of Krishna consciousness. And some senior devotees have told me, like as you stay with one person, gradually over time you practice Krishna consciousness, your spiritual desires grow more and more. And whatever like habits you have, material lust, whatever, that starts to diminish. But the problem comes in is when people think, oh, there's a problem here because we're not doing what we used to do or whatever, and then they want to switch partners. But staying with one person actually purifies you in that way.
Yeah. Yeah, very good to keep in mind. Thank you. Arjuna?
Yeah, just a follow-up question. I appreciated all those points. I guess my question was a little more geared towards the judgmental aspect of things. Like, how do you like measure the level of sin that one thing carries over the other? Like, while we were talking about that topic, I was kind of thinking of like how we're apprehensive about abortion, which, of course, I don't agree with. But, technically, if you are using contraceptive methods not to beget a child while you're in marriage, isn't that kind of like on a similar platform? So I was kind of like, just wanting to get your perspective on the level of, like, okay, eating onion and garlic versus doing this, versus using contraceptives or things like that. Like, is one thing more abominable than the other, or is it all in the same platform?
No, I mean, obviously, taking cocaine is worse than drinking a cup of coffee. Obviously, eating a beef sirloin steak is worse than eating onions and garlic, so at the same thing, obviously having sex, even in marriage, getting pregnant and getting an abortion is a lot worse than, using contraceptives. So yeah, we have to try to do the least evil, right? If you can't do the most pure thing, at least don't do the most impure thing, right? Don't do the most contaminating thing. So yeah, that requires little intelligence.
So
Okay.
is abortion something that's like what like the plan B type thing? Is that bad?
Plan B? What's plan B? Oh, like morning after pill? That's what they call it in England. I mean, if there's conception, then whether you're taking a pill to kill the embryo on the second day, or whether you're getting abortion after, a month, or if there's conception, it's like the child is alive, the fetus or the embryo or whatever you want to call it is alive. So you're basically killing it. It's already alive. Yeah. As soon as the egg and sperm cell combine, that's the soul enters. Yeah.
Isn't it like don't the souls live inside the sperm cells already?
They carry the sperm cells carry the soul.
So it's like already.
Yeah, and then as soon as that the sperm meets with the egg, and then there's the emulsification, then the first few hours there's already cell division, right? 2 cells, 4 cells, 16 cells, like that. It's the same. It's a living being. It's like, is it worse to kill is it less bad to kill a 5-year-old than it is a 15-year-old? It's just murder, In one sense, you could say that the younger the living entity is, the worse it is, because they're more vulnerable and they're more in need of they're more in need of your protection. Right? Somebody who kills babies, you would think is a lot worse than someone who kills adults. Right? So the smaller the baby it is, the worse it is, actually. Yeah.
So we understand that makes it
Once a month, what? I mean, we probably said once a month was for conception, because there's only like 2 days a month in which. Huh? That's the highest standard, yeah. That's the point of once a month. Yeah. Likely, yeah.
Because they're not conceiving, but the soul is still there, you're equating that to abortion, if not worse than abortion. Let me say that most countries are doing it.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, if you want to get really strict about it, if those sperm cells are carrying a soul and you're just like, squirting them into a condom and throwing them into the garbage can, then okay, this is getting a little graphic. Then, well, I think it's different if there's actually I think it's different if actually conception takes place, like if actually the egg and sperm join, because that's when the body starts forming. That's when the soul is actually gonna have its human birth. Because just a second, just hold on. Because, in one sexual episode, there are going to be like thousands of sperm cells that go, into the birth canal, into the, on their way to, and only one is. So then even devotees who are like fully Krishna conscious, trying to conceive a Krishna conscious children, they chanted their 50 rounds, they did everything by the books. Still, if more than one of those sperm cells is carrying a soul, then they're all going to get, basically like trashed. So only one is going to survive. So that's why I'm saying that if there's no conception, then it's a little bit different.
So,
All right, wait. So just I had a question that I interrupted.
What is there?
Yeah. So then they just have to talk to Krishna. Be like, Krishna, I know that this is not the highest standard, and this is not pleasing to you. And I also know that, this attachment to sex life is what's really keeping me in this material world, birth after birth. Prabhupada says is shackles that's holding us in this material world. But I'm very strongly shackled. So please, help me to overcome this attachment. Please help me to overcome this attachment gradually. After all, I'm your devotee, and I need your help, basically. Right? It's just like anything. It's a weakness, right? It's a weakness of heart. So it's just like somebody who is, an alcoholic or a drug addict. It's like you have a weakness. You're attached to things that are bad for you, that are bad spiritually, materially, even materially speaking, right? Like having sex a lot makes you weak. That's why athletes, when they're trying out for like an Olympic event, the coach will tell them like, stay celibate for like 3 months before the event. because, you know, it's like you're losing your
Life.
blood. Yeah, yeah, it's your life force is going out. And also, yeah, like for brahmacharis who don't, you know, who basically like, if you're not passing semen, then what happens is that those sperm cells get reabsorbed into the body, and it becomes like a different substance that is like a really like very potent substance which goes to the brain, and it nourishes your intelligence and your memory skills. And that's why you know, in the scriptures there are like famous lifelong celibates who have like this crystal clear power of memory. They can just hear something once and remember it forever, at like the four Kumaras, right? Or they're just like really sharp intelligence like that because they've never in their life passed semen. So there's so many benefits actually to celibacy. And yeah, it's very good for spiritual life. So it's good to just remember that this body is not my property. You know, it's not mine to enjoy. You think, oh, this is my body, I can do whatever I want for my enjoyment. But actually, this body belongs to Krishna, and it's meant to be used in his service. So the more we see it that way, the more it'll be easier for us to Jopi, what are you saying? Go ahead and spit it out. See some comments coming. Just say it.
With the last part you just said, if men reabsorb the sperm, where does the soul that was in the sperm go? And then I said, I guess this ain't important. Like I'm being too specific, and I ain't a man, so it doesn't even apply to me.
All right, just I was gonna ask the same thing. I'm not sure where them souls go. Or I'm not even sure if every sperm is carrying a soul. Because we also talk about how at the time of conception, whatever your consciousness, it attracts a soul, right? The certain soul gets attracted into, you know, your womb at that moment. So that makes it seem like, see, if the soul was already in the sperm before, you know, because the sperm cells are sitting around there in the male body for some time, right? So if the moment of conception determines which soul is actually going to, you know, be born to you, then that soul comes at that time. It wasn't there before. So what could be, and I'm not sure about this, I'm just kind of like thinking here, is that the sperm, this particular soul enters particular sperm cell, and that's the one that's going to end up, you know, fertilizing the egg. And it could be that all the other ones don't actually even have souls in them. So I don't know.
Yeah, like so this guy. And so at what point do you like, because you were equating like certain things be equal to abortion and not work.
Yeah.
So is that genocide? You like waste for semen? Like on what level, or like these grahastas who can only like that's the highest thing they can go to is just within marriage. Are they committing like abortion times 17 trillion?
I mean, I don't know. I don't want to speculate too much on like the details of it because like I said, I'm not sure to what extent that sperm cell, because it's usually we don't talk about life. I mean, the soul is eternal. So in one sense, the soul is not killed, right? But in another sense, the soul is not born until there's fertilization of the egg, right? So in one sense, the soul is never born and never dies. But since we're talking about the bodies, right? Like a child taking birth, then it's not until the time of fertilization that it actually becomes an embodied soul that's going to take birth. You understand the difference?
Like tricky souls.
Yeah, so what you're doing is you're not killing the soul because the soul can't be killed, but what you're doing is denying those souls the opportunity to have a human form of life. Right, and then they need to go back to the drawing board and
The answer is that.
I mean, the best thing is to just like do things the way that the scriptures ask us to do them. You know,
There's people in we saying that most people in ISKCON are doing the same thing as abortion?
I'm saying that from my point of view, I don't think it's the same thing as abortion.
Oh. Okay. Well, you kind of said it's even younger.
No, there's what I said is there's a difference between a soul who, yeah, exactly. There's a difference between a soul that's just in a sperm cell and a soul that's actually like embodied.
I have one final
Because to kill means to kill the body, but the soul doesn't have, and the sperm cell doesn't have a body. The only thing we can kill is the body. So if you don't have a body, what are you killing?
So-
But once fertilization has taken place, there's a body. So now you're
it's
killing.
really- the- So that's that. No. What's the alternative for these processes? Yeah.
No, I mean, you just have to either abstain or you have to accept the reaction. That's it. Yeah. I mean, if it's a situation, I mean, I would hope that devotees wouldn't go there, but if it's the situation that we have to have sex, there's no way we're not going to do it. And if the woman gets pregnant, then we cannot have the child. We will kill it. I would hope that devotees wouldn't go there. Right? But if that's their consciousness, then, use contraceptives. But don't like do abortion. Okay. But be prepared to face the reaction. That's all.
Well,
So basically, me drinking coffee is not as bad as illicit sex. That's what I wanted to hear.
Yes. Oh
Actually,
my God. How did we get here? Go ahead, Lavanga. Enlighten
I
us.
was just gonna say, well, two things. This shows really actually, well, the first point about sex, this shows how rare the human form of life is because we hear about that in Shastra. So if we were to take that, let's say for example, there's millions of sperm and they have like souls, right? When the sperm actually enters the body of the woman's immune system kills most of them. And that's why it takes millions because the immune system's like, what is that substance? It's not, doesn't belong
Foreign
here.
particle. Yeah.
Right. So actually, and by the time that the sperm even arrive near the place where the ovaries are, there's only about 10 or 15 of them left.
Hmm.
So, really, I mean, I don't know all the specifics of like, I can't tell you for sure, okay, all million of these sperm have souls, but we can see that even just the science part of it, that yeah, the human form of life that we have, we can see even scientifically that is rare. That's one actually gets that. And out of those 10 or 15 that are living, an egg may or may not be fertilized. And even when an egg is fertilized, sometimes the egg doesn't implant, and therefore, nothing happens. So
Mhm.
it's really a gift to have this human form of life. Along with Arjuna's comment about drinking coffee, there was an incident in Vrindavan that Sindhamani Devi Dasi told me about, where the devotees were serving tea to like the guests, and one devotee wanted to stop doing that because in India the common people drink a lot of tea. So they went to
Hi.
Prabhupada about this, and one devotee said, "Prabhupada, we should stop doing this. It's sinful." And Prabhupada said, "No, it's not sinful. It's just mode of ignorance." And he said, "They're
Mm.
going to do it anyway. So, better, like the point was, better that they go and do it there where they can hear Krishna conscious topics and activities and get purified." So, but with that said, we see that he never allowed them to like serve alcohol or something like that on, like property. But
Mhm.
there is that specific pastime in regards to tea drinking.
Okay. Thank you. There you go, Arjuna. So,
No, thank you so much. I was just teasing. I know that it's not, I was just teasing with that question. Of course, one should be aware that some things are unfavorable. But then, not to hold you back too much, I really appreciated your point on abortion, on whether or not it makes a difference to abort, the day after or a few months later. Because I feel like that's a major topic in America, for the pro-abortion movement, where some people are like, yeah, well, if you kill it within 2 weeks or 3 weeks, it's better than killing him when, they're a grown fetus. It doesn't make a difference. It's still alive.
Question on that point.
mhm,
We see that there are different reactions for killing different entities of different levels of consciousness. For example, we have like animals. We have I've heard it described that fish are lower, and then below that are plants. It's actually okay to eat plants because plants don't have that heightened sense of like receptors of consciousness of awareness. Krishna describes in the Bhagavad Gita that like
yeah,
the different levels of lust covering the entity. It's like the plant,
right.
the animal, and the human.
Mm.
So some may argue that because the fetus, the embryo, has such a low level of consciousness, it's not equated to killing a fully conscious human that you have a relationship with, that you know, that has desires and dreams, blah blah blah. What would you say is like
Divya?
I was thinking like even beyond like, that, just like realizing it's pretty simple. Like you're gonna have whatever actions you take, whatever you do, there's gonna be an equal and opposite reaction. There's gonna be consequences. And if you can just realize that, okay, I did the act, this is the result. It's not my life to take because I didn't technically create, I didn't like, Krishna created this child through me. This isn't my life to take away. This isn't I don't own this child. It isn't coming directly from me. This is Krishna's part and parcel.
Yeah.
I have no right to kill any other living entity. So,
Yeah. I remember hearing that the reaction for someone who commits abortion is that you have to basically be aborted in your next life. That you'll get a chance at a human life and then you'll be killed before you get to see the light of day. So, and the same reaction is when you kill an adult person, that you need to be killed. So since the reaction is the same, that you need to be killed in the same in your next life, then I would say that the crime is equal, right? If the punishment is equal, then the crime, the severity of the crime is also equal.
Like doing something. It would be different. The reaction would be different for a regular person that doesn't even know that it's we starts.
Yeah, that's there. So yeah, that's a thing that if you know that what you're doing is wrong and you do it, then the reaction is worse than if you don't know it's wrong. There'll still be a reaction in both cases, but it's worse for someone who like intentionally, like knowing that this shouldn't be done, does it.
so now we're on book.
Yep, so now that you know. Da-da-da-da. Draupadi?
For the consciousness argument, I think Drishta brought up.
Yeah.
I was thinking, what about someone who's like asleep? They're like in a different set of consciousness.
Can you
What
kill
about a
adults when they're
person
in a
who's-
deep sleep?
What about a person who's like technically like, what's the word besides a vegetable? Like
invalid?
Yeah, invalid or like mentally disabled. All these different things. We still consider it like murder.
Yeah, if you kill somebody who's like severely mentally disabled or who's in a deep sleep, it's the same. It's same murder as murdering somebody who's awake and fully and mentally capable. So yeah, the point is that we're dealing with humans, right? Whether it's a smart human, a dumb human, a young human, an old human, a born human, a not yet born human, it's a human.
Question.
Yeah.
There's higher sins for killing a Brahmana than for killing Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra, which seems to contradict your argument that
Sin of killing a Brahmin.
it's considered a worse sin than That's why we say we serve Tulsi.
Yeah. Brahman.
And as
Brahma.
described in the Hajj,
Mhm.
which is typically greater than for the normal.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's not because like it's not because the Brahmins are necessarily more conscious, it's that the Brahmins are so valuable to society because they teach spiritual knowledge to the people. And it's so important. Yeah. Okay, we better wrap it up. We're going pretty late with this. But thank you for joining. Very interesting discussion. Oh, let me see if anybody out there on YouTube got excited about this as you all did. Hold on. Oh,
Anytime you
no,
talk about sex, it's gonna be like
no one
that.
said anything. The only thing anyone said was, "Have I seen the Nrsimha Avatar movie yet?" Okay. Well, yes, I have, and it was great. I highly recommend it. Okay, Radhe Radhe, Jai Shri Ram and Hare Krishna to all of you. Thanks for joining. Hare Krishna. All right then. Bhagavad Gita ki jai.